We have two big universities here, Eastern Maryland University, James Madison University, which have also a big portion of the local community.
It's important that our kids know that they can attend those universities. And sometimes they don't realize that. Yeah. And the universities are a couple of blocks away. You know that we call ourselves the friendly city.
Yeah.
I don't like that term. I don't like it. And the only reason why I don't like it is because I want to make sure that's who we really are.
Welcome to Road Talk today, again on this very special series of conversations in the city of Harrisonburg. As I said earlier in many of my videos, we want to bring stories of Harrisonburg to your screens where you see leadership and community service, but also empowerment into action. And we'll have many guests on our show. And today we have the esteemed privilege to welcome the Mayor of Harrisonburg on our studio, Mayor Deanna Reed, who is a true hometown hero, as we call her, born and raised in Harrisonburg, Virginia, has been around the city in many occasions. And today we'll be discussing her background rooted in education, but also community engagement. So she brings an amazing wealth of experience, wisdom, but also leadership. Welcome on our show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. How's your day going?
It's going good. Thank you.
Good. So your journey begins with being born in Harrisonburg and growing up in Harrisonburg. And now you're serving as the mayor of Harrisonburg. And so the first thing that I want to ask you is, how is your upbringing help you understand and lead in the position that you're in here in the city of Harrisonburg?
Yeah, well, thank you for that question. So I often talk about, I'm a native of Harrisonburg, born and raised here. Most of my family is still here. I live in the community where I was raised, and I live in the Northeast neighborhood. And my upbringing was, typical, right? A lot of family, a lot of cousins, aunts, uncles. But I had specific women in my family that I talk about because I feel like they helped me become the servant leader that I am. Of course, my mother, Doris Reed, my grandmother, Carmelita Bundy, and my aunt, Doris Allen. My grandmother was the matriarch of our family, and she took care of us, right? But she also was very disciplined and had us, in church. Every Sunday I was in church. And there, her friends, Wilhelmina Johnson, was one I talk about a lot, mentored us, young women.
Yeah.
My Aunt Doris was the community activist. A lot of people know my Aunt Doris. She passed a couple of years ago, but she actually has one of the buildings at JMU named after her.
Okay.
Doris Harper Allen. And so she was an author, but she was big in the NAACP in Huntington, West Virginia, and in Harrisonburg. And so she was the one that taught me how to be nosy. She was like, Deanna, be nosy. Get in everything. And I did. And so she helped me become, I believe, that on the political side, to become active in the community. My grandfather was huge here in Harrisonburg. Red Bundy, he started the first Black marching band here in Harrisonburg called Bundy's Boys Band. He was a musician. He was a trumpet player. And then I got a lot of cousins. I have a sister. She lives in Richmond. but I'm very close to my cousins. So I have a lot of cousins that are here that we are very close. So yeah, I think my family taught me how to serve my community, which has been a huge part of who I am.
Yeah, many people say that leadership starts from home.
Yeah.
So the way you grow up, the way you're raised, and the way that you're seeing folks in your family stepping up into leadership position shapes your vision. As I was sharing earlier with you about my daughter, how she sees me recording videos. Now she's not shy in front of cameras. She wants to be on camera and speak on microphone and hear herself use microphone. And that is powerful. That's why Road Talk wants to not only help young folks, coach them to be what they want to be, but in a very powerful way, but also learn from people like you who have been there, and then you're now serving a great city.
Let me put something in there for that, because I think that's very important. I know when I was growing up, like the women that were in my life, they were training me for this day, right?
Yeah.
And so I talk about Miss Wilhelmina Johnson. I tell the story all the time. But Miss Wilhelmina was one of my grandmother's best friends. But she was big at John Wesley United Methodist Church, right?
Yeah.
And so she would have us as young people. She would make us stand in front of the congregation and, recite scripture and recite, we had to do plays. And we had to have it memorized, right? I couldn't stand it. I was always nervous.
Yeah.
But what I realized later in life, that why she was doing that was that she was teaching me how to stand in front of an audience and speak.
Yeah.
And little did I know that now, what do? I stand in front of people and I have to speak, right?
Yeah.
So she was training me then. So you're actually training your daughter right now.
Yeah.
That's why she wants to be in all the movies.
Yeah, that's right. She feels like she has to be.
Yeah, she's learning that from you.
Yeah. And you have an extensive experience in education. So you have a master's degree in education and a graduate certificate in urban education. So that only demonstrates your commitment to education and improving our community and education system. But how do you believe education plays a role here in shaping the future of Harrisonburg, given we have two big universities here, Eastern Maryland University and James Madison University, which have also a big portion of the local community. The residents of Harrisonburg come from those two universities, and maybe many are alumni from two universities. What do you think education plays as a role?
Yeah, well, when I was growing up, I'll go back to when I was growing up here, right? So when I was growing up here at James Madison University was here, and EMU was here. But we really didn't feel welcome to go to JMU, right?
Yeah.
It was almost like we were considered the townies, and we were in the community, and the university was the university. One reason why I started my after-school program on the Road Collaborative 8 years ago was because I wanted to make sure that our students, our children that were born and raised here in Harrisonburg, that live in my community, could see themselves at James Madison or at EMU, could see themselves outside of their environment, right? Yeah. It's important that our kids know that they can attend those universities. And sometimes they don't realize that. Yeah. And the universities are a couple of blocks away. We have to make sure that our children are prepared for the future. Yeah. Not everybody wants to go to college, right? And that's something that I really had to understand. College is not meant for everybody, but there's opportunities for our children. If it's not a 4-year university, then maybe it's a 2-year university, right? Maybe it's a community college, or maybe it's a trade, right? Something that gets them ready for the workforce. Whatever it is, it's up to us, right, to make sure that our children are successful and that we provide those opportunities for them. And that starts with schools, right?
Yeah. So awesome. And as the regional advancement director of Eastern Maryland University, where you're serving currently, and you also have a lot of civic involvement in the community, including serving on multiple boards and commissions or committees. And you also have been deeply involved in advancing the interests of Harrisonburg. From my reading of your work, can you share some of the key initiatives or projects that you're currently working in or that you've been involved in recently, working on promoting civic engagement, community betterment, or the city's growth and development in general?
Yeah, that's a huge question. So for me, I'll start with who Harrisonburg is. Okay, you know that we call ourselves the friendly city.
Yeah,
I don't like that term. I don't like it. And the only reason why I don't like it is because I want to make sure that's who we really are, right? Yeah. So we say we're a friendly city. Does everybody feel that way? Are we friendly to everyone? If we say we're a welcoming city, are we really? Yeah. Right? We say that we're a city for all, right? Does everybody feel like they're at home here? And so the one thing that I want to make sure is that the city that I serve as the mayor, that whoever calls Harrisonburg home feels like this is their home, right? And so that starts with how are they feeling when they come to our buildings, right? How are they feeling when they're, in the city? Are they being accepted? One of the big initiatives or one of the big projects that I think that people really know me for is my work with the homelessness and with the homeless population that we have here. And I was able to lead on that homeless shelter that is being built here. Okay. At times I'll be asked, what keeps you up at night? And what kept me up at night was knowing that there were people in my city that didn't have shelter, didn't have anywhere to sleep. And so we were able to build that homeless shelter that is now will be open in the fall of 2024. The other thing that I led on was the high school. When I started, we had an overcrowded high school. We still have an overcrowded high school. And so that conversation has been going on for 7 years. And this spring, we'll be cutting the ribbon on a new high school, which will provide our children with the adequate space that they need to learn.
I think the biggest thing I was reading about Harrisonburg earlier, and we have over 55,000 people here. Yep. And among those 55,000 people, about 12% of them are foreign-born residents that were born somewhere, maybe in Africa or Middle East or Europe or somewhere. And so that creates that kind of number of people that are not probably originally from here, including the languages that we hear in the in just our school systems. Right. Over 70 is a lot of languages. So that probably makes it possible for kids to at least be engaging or get a chance to engage with another language other than English or Spanish in the community. So that's a great thing to have in the city. But as a mayor of Harrisonburg, how do you see that any possibility from that diversity to be invested on to make this city welcoming, more welcoming, or to really live up to those aspirations of being a friendly and welcoming and very diverse community?
Yeah. Well, it's a cliche term, but our diversity is what makes us strong, and that's the truth. Yeah. Because when you look at Harrisonburg, and people, when I say that, when I go outside of Harrisonburg, right? First of all, Harrisonburg is actually larger now than Charlottesville, and people don't realize that, right? Charlottesville, we're right at 56,000. Charlottesville is just maybe about 53,000 underneath us, right?
I didn't know that.
But right. But we're growing, and we grew rapidly, right? Yeah. So when you look at Harrisonburg, a lot of people think we're still this small, right, sleepy town. No, we're not. because when you look at our city and the diversity that we have in our city, we're matching Northern Virginia, right? When it comes to diversity.
Yeah.
So I think that, like when I grew up here, it was just black and white, and black people were small. When I graduated from Harrisonburg High School, right, as a senior, I had 11 black people in my class. That was it.
Wow.
Right. And I was kin to 10 of them. I could only date one guy. Because everybody else was my cousins, right? That's for real. Yeah. So, yeah, but we're far from that now.
Yeah.
I think the diversity has pushed us, right, to make sure that we are that welcoming city that we say we're going to be, right?
Yeah.
It has pushed us to be that city, which I'm proud of, because it's what makes us unique, right, compared to everybody else out there in the state. So I think we have a lot of work to do, though. You know, we're talking real, right? Yeah. It bothers me when someone comes into my city building, right? Because you pay your bills right next door, right? And there's no one there to interpret for them, right? We got to do better about that, right?
Should.
When we print things, right, we have to print them in the major 7 different languages. So what about all the other languages that we're missing?
The 70.
Right. We'll print things in 7 different languages, but then we're leaving out folks. Yeah. So we got to fix that. When somebody wants to come, now I will say this for Vice Mayor Sal Romero, who was here.
Yeah.
The first thing he did when he became vice mayor was he wanted interpreters in the chamber, because he said if somebody wanted to come, like from his community, we didn't have interpreters here. So they couldn't understand what we were saying. And so we did that. So now we have interpreters. If somebody wants to come in those 7 different languages, then they just call ahead, say, I'm coming, I need an interpreter, and somebody will be here. But we need to do that all across the city, right? When somebody goes into, the DMV or the post office or whatever, right? We have to make sure those barriers are down. I think we're getting there, right? We're not there yet. But a lot of people come to Harrisonburg because they're fleeing from their country, right? And they come here because they want a new beginning, a safe place to live. But we can't just roll them, say, oh, here, go find a place to live or go do that, because they might not know how to operate things or how to handle that.
Yeah.
We have to be the ones to make sure that we're not leaving anyone alone.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think those things we still can work on, but I think we have systems in place that we're getting there.
And that's good. I think I've been living in Harrisonburg the whole time I've been in the U.S.
How long you been here?
I've been here for 7 years.
7 years.
And I've been living in Harrisonburg. That's the first place I've come, and I've never left. I think I love the city just in general. And
did you feel like you were welcomed when you were here?
Well, when I got here, I got into probably a good community. I was directly from EMU, because I came for EMU, the summer program,
right?
And I was connected directly to a family that was very, very generous and nice to me. So I got integrated quicker than probably many other people are,
right? And
I got more information easily from the family that was living from the EMU community. So for me, it was an interesting kind of immersion to the actual community. Now, many people that I've interacted with, especially from the refugee or just immigrant community in general, they're still struggling with a lot of things, because all these opportunities to be connected or learn or grow are not very available for them. And language is one of the biggest challenges. Language, there might be a lot of services right here in Harrisonburg, but people don't know that they exist, just because they're probably mainly in English and they don't even know what those services mean. And that's one of the challenges.
So one thing that and this is actually something that me and Vice Mayor Sal Romero talked about when he was here.
Mhm.
And I think I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to make it happen in my next term. Is a welcoming, some type of center here at the chambers,
Okay.
like here at City Hall.
Okay.
So like right now you can go down the street, right? And they have that new welcoming center
Mhm.
that's Harrisonburg City Public Schools has.
Yeah.
Right. But there's nothing here. There's got to be a central location
Mhm.
where people can come and get all that information that they need.
Yeah.
Right. I think right now it's kind of like in pockets, right?
Mhm.
EMU plays a big part in that. So that's the uniqueness of Eastern Mennonite and JMU.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's a lot of international students that are at EMU,
Mhm.
right? That's how you got connected. But I really hope that we can create some type of center or welcoming center. I don't even know if I want to call it that. But here in this building where people can just come here and get that information, know where they need to go to get certain, things or that they may need that they don't know right, when they get here.
Yeah, I think that was going to be very helpful.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that I've heard many times, especially from the youth perspective, there's not much to do in Harrisonburg. When it comes to the young people, they complain a lot about that.
Yeah.
They feel like they have to go to, let's say, Northern Virginia or somewhere out of here to be able to have more stuff to do. And so I think that's something important too.
What do you think we're missing from, because we have we have different centers. So we got the community center, the Westover Center, and then we got Sims, right? But what is the thing that you think we're missing for youth? Like a hangout spot, or what is it? We got funkies, we got the skating. They don't, I don't know. What is it that's missing?
I think
sports. We got sports.
I think they need more entertainment stuff.
Entertainment.
I think that's that. From my understanding, that's what the young people are concerned about.
Yeah.
Like more, exciting stuff for them, And maybe there are some of the resources that they don't know that they exist.
Yeah.
And then there's other things that they think that do not exist. Like they say, when it's 7 p.m., there's nothing you can do in Harrisonburg. And I understand.
That's true, yeah.
And I understand. In many big cities, you would have more things to do, more options. Yeah. But also, I think the parks are but I think we should think about having a real stage in the park if there's like a concert or anything like that, because it becomes challenging. Yeah, it becomes challenging when you're in the park. Then you're like, how can we manage any event here? So those are just a few things. Probably if we have that space, there would be more young people to go do murals or go perform or go practice or play. And I think those could be important for the city.
Yeah, I'm old now. So 7:00, I'm getting ready to go to bed.
That's when they wake up. They want to go out.
Yeah, they're going out.
They want to go see what's going on out there. So, yeah, I think I've been reading about your work, and some of them is the recognition that you've gotten. I think one of them is the African American Mayors Association. So you're part of that organization. But also you've been recognized on Essence Magazine top 100 work list. So that's amazing. And you've been a champion of social justice and equity in general. And so that's why some of these questions, like how do we get the young people more stuff that they can do to get more involved? And you've been doing that for a long time. So how do you think we can address issues of language accessibility in a very strategic way so that we really address that issue? I work with the immigrant community. That's my job as a community organizer. And most of the time, language is a big problem.
I know.
So we can talk about every resource, and at the end it's like, we need to learn more English. We need to get other ways to get interpretation. We need to get more services. And people do not really enjoy the landline or whatever, the line interpretation, whatever that is.
I think that's
They feel like if you're from Congo and then they send you someone from Tanzania to interpret you in Swahili, you can't communicate. It's Swahili, but you just can't communicate because they have deeper words that do not reflect anything in your Congo Swahili. Or if you're from any other country, let's say if someone from Canada is interpreting for you in French, you will understand probably 75% of what they're saying because of the difference. But other people don't even have that, that base of English to even say this is what is happening. I don't know what you think that could be done to empower more people, especially young girls and women in the community that come here a little bit, older, and they haven't gotten opportunities to study where they came from. Now, how do we catch up?
Yeah. And you're right, because we're behind. We're way behind. And when you were talking, and this happens to me, when you were talking, I was like, I just got this idea. Because I think what we need to do, just like what I did. So when I don't understand, okay, I need to bring in the experts to help me figure this out, right?
Yeah.
You all are the expert, right? Church World Services.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And New Creations, I believe that's
New Bridges.
New Bridges. The school system. Right. And I'm thinking maybe I'm trying to think of what there's a welcoming committee as well.
Welcoming Harrisonburg Council.
And maybe EMU. Like, I think we all need to get at the table.
Yeah.
Right. If we get those stakeholders at the table with me, I think we'll be able to see what is the need, right? When it comes down to breaking those barriers with those language barriers. Because the landline or whatever, that's just the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not really supporting what people need. And so I think we're going to start with creating some type of task force that this would be the issue.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to do that like tomorrow, like pull people together and say, okay, this is something that we need to focus on. It's needed. We're behind. What can we do? So I think we can do that. That's low hanging fruit. I think we can do that tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Pull some folks together, get them at the table and see, because in the next couple of months, the city's going to start talking about budget and money. If this is something that we really want to take care of, the city might have to give up some money for this, right? To create some type of, So this is the time to do that. So why don't you help me pull some people together so that we can really drill down and focus on this?
Yeah, and that's possible because I think people have the will to sit and talk and navigate the issue. And I think we've done a lot of issue identification workshop where we can just sit and really dig deep into those issues on a workshop and try to identify these issues and how they affect us and what are the things that we can do to really resolve these issues. And that would be something that we could do. And we can talk to stakeholders and see if we can pull some folks together and sit with you and discuss and see how we can make that happen. I think it's worth investing in the community as much as possible because that's the best way to do it.
Well, and for us, I was invited to a forum at Sims. This is recent. And it was a Hispanic group who invited me, right? And they wanted me to participate in the panel discussion. But I was the only one there that spoke English.
Oh.
So it was flipped on me, right? Everybody else spoke Spanish. And so I was the one who needed the interpreter, right? And I felt completely uncomfortable, out of place. I was nervous. I was like, oh my God. I didn't understand anything. And they had an interpreter for me. Wow. But at that moment, I realized, I was like, how many people in my city is me right now? Right? Is going somewhere and they don't understand what's being said or what's being said to them. I was I was almost having like a panic attack. Like, you know, it was because I was the only one in the room that couldn't understand what everybody else was saying.
Yeah.
And then the person it wasn't even it was an interpreter, but he was like in my ear trying to tell me. And I was like thrown off. I was just like, oh gosh. And afterwards I was like, no, we got to do better because people are living like this every day.
Yeah. And that is, let's do something about it.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
Because it's a need and people need to feel more welcome. I think that's the best way. And language is probably one of the first things
I agree
that would make them feel more welcome. But I didn't want to move to the next question without saying a few more things about you. So you've also received a lot of accolades, and I'm just going to name the Martin Luther King Jr. Service Award, Community Service Award, and also the Strong Woman of Virginia History by the Library of Congress.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say that, and I wanted to ask this question with that. What advice do you have for young people that aspire to maybe sometimes get involved in public service?
Ooh, that's a good one. So, my heart is young people, especially young girls.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one reason why I wanted to sit up here, when I first thought about running, because I didn't have no political experience, I had no experience. I just wanted to make a difference in my community, right? And I came first time ever coming to a city council meeting. Never been to a city council meeting, but came, sat back there. There was a big issue going on about the high school. And I looked up here and it was all white men. Well, first of all, it was all men, all white, majority white. Chris Jones was the mayor. Yeah, he was the only black man. Everybody else was white. And I was sitting there and I was like, gosh, why is Harrisonburg still ran by men, majority white men, when we're a diverse community now? I mean, this was 2015, right? It's not too long ago.
No, long ago.
Right?
Yeah.
So I decided to run so that little black girls could see themselves sitting up here, right?
Yeah.
Now you fast forward to that. When I became mayor, I was the first black woman mayor, but I was the only woman on council, right?
Wow.
And so now you fast forward, now you got a majority black council with me, Monica, and Chris.
Yeah.
And you got a majority women council with me, Laura, and Monica.
Yeah.
And so that's why I did it, right? For young people, my advice to them is, the first thing I would tell anybody is just be true to who you are, right? Don't change who you are. Don't feel like you gotta, adjust yourself for anybody, anything, or any position, right?
Yeah.
And that's especially for young girls, because what we tend to do is we try to, kind of adjust ourselves to fit wherever that man wants us to be or that person wants us to be, instead of being that who we truly are. And I've done that myself, right?
Yeah.
But that's important. The other thing is we got to be at the table, right?
Yeah.
So it's important for us as women to be at the table, because men are making those decisions about our stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so there shouldn't be any conversations about anything without a woman or a person of color being at that table.
Yeah.
So get involved, use your voice. I tell young people all the time, get involved. I don't care what it is, right? Get involved at school. I don't care what it is. Get involved, right? Use your voice, right? Because your voice is who you are, and it eventually will be your vote. So speak up, speak out. Be disruptive if you have to, if you need to, but don't be silent. Don't be silent. And I support, any young person, I say this out loud, any young person that needs any support, anything, I'm there. Because our next generation is our young people. So it's up to us as adults to prepare them for whatever future they want to go to.
Yeah.
And that's how I live, right? I got to reach back and bring somebody else up with me because somebody did that for me.
Yeah. That's amazing. The young people are playing an important role. And they need support. I feel like they just need guidance because the skills, they always are there.
Yeah.
And the confidence sometimes is a challenge.
Yeah.
And the young people feel like they cannot do a lot of things because they think they don't have the knowledge.
Yeah.
But usually they have information, but they just do not really click.
Right.
Say, hey, I know this. And if I get the right guidance, I can do this. I can go there. I can go pursue this career or this, this vision or this goal and achieve it. And so I'm a fan of saying, I dream, I go do it, I try, I fail, I'll go again.
That's right.
And that's the best way I can do it. Otherwise, I won't learn, I won't grow,
That's right.
I won't move.
And you can't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
It's okay to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to change the gear a little bit here and go a little bit global. And so Harrisonburg is a diverse community. And by that, we also mean a lot of immigrants and refugees in the community. And immigrants and refugees, usually refugees specifically, or asylees or asylum seekers or whatever, come here because they're fleeing persecution, either due to violence or war or something similar. And recently, not only recently, there have been violent conflicts in the world in many places. I come from Congo. And I was born in Goma, which is the eastern Congo. So that's where violence, since 96, there's war in my region. There's never been a ceasefire or anything like that. Millions of people have died. I do that. I've said this in many of my videos in the past. Over 6 million people died from this war. And some people in Congo are calling it the silent genocide because there's not much attention that people are paying to that specific conflict. But also in Sudan, for example, there's been a lot of violence, a lot of war. I've heard Haiti now with that the outbreak yesterday and today, and Ukraine and Palestine and everywhere in the world. Now, what I'm trying to understand is what can you as a mayor at the local level? I know you've done some stuff here in the city council the last couple of weeks. Right. And I've seen a lot of demonstrations in the city. I've seen a lot of rallies and a lot of, meetings and conferences lately in the city. And I'm wondering what at the local level, what can you guys do here locally that could not only raise awareness about what's going on, but also reflect the feeling of the local population in terms of violence. Everybody is tired. No one wants to get involved in war, in violence, because no one wins in this conflict. War, no one can be a winner. Everybody loses. Even if you take up space, you lose. You lose people, community, resources, and so forth. So what do you think can be done locally to speak about these issues or support just the local communities that are feeling affected by what is going on at the global scale?
Yeah. So, that's a lot. That's a hard, and it was hard to hear you say some of that, right? I think for us, it was important, even though we'll talk about what we just passed. We just passed a resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza. And I was very open about, I'm not a fan of resolutions because I think it's, something that is just a symbolic piece of paper and people are still dying, right? We didn't pass it. I gave it to Tim Kaine and Mark Warner. There's still a war going on. Yeah. The first thing I did in that situation, I think I'm going to continue to do, is I had to bring, with that situation, I had to bring the two communities that were mostly affected by that war, which was the Jewish community and the Muslim community together. Yeah. Because one, I didn't even understand the history of it, right? Yeah. I think we start there. You have to have more of those conversations, right?
Yeah.
And so what does that look like? We have to bring the communities that are being affected, because even though the war is going on, thousands and thousands of miles away, there are people here that has family there, right? You just talked about that, right?
Yeah.
And they're being affected by it.
Yeah.
My responsibility is to you, right? Because you're living here.
Yeah.
So what can I do to help you here, right?
Yeah.
And I think it starts with the education piece, like knowing what are you going through, what is going on that I'm not educated about, right? Because it's not going to affect me until I feel it like you feel it.
Yeah.
And the only way I can feel it like you feel it is if I'm sitting here talking to you about it and you're telling me, the stories.
That's right.
So I think elevating the voices, and that's something that has been playing in my head since the whole, Palestine, Gaza, it's like it's been playing in my, how do I elevate? How do I use my platform as mayor to elevate your voice?
Yeah.
Elevate your trauma, elevate your pain. And the only thing that I can do is use my platform to get the attention of the people who can make that change, right? That's the state senators, the state delegates, the congressmen, the president, the vice president, that's, I have to use that. So I've thought about bringing, like the senators here and having a dialogue, with my refugee community, my immigrant community.
That would be great.
And them.
Yeah.
Right?
That would be great.
Get Ben Klein here. Get Kane here. I've already talked about it with Kane.
Yeah.
Senator Kane, Warner. Get them here and have that roundtable discussion.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to make that happen. I think that's needed. But also to have these continued dialogues where, we're educating the community, because there's some people they just don't know what's going on, right? They don't know what you're going, right. And so I think it's my job to use my platform to elevate those voices. And then once we do that, then make those asks to where on the state and the federal level, that's what I can do immediately.
Yeah.
So does that?
And your leadership has already done something. So this has been a great conversation, actually, just to get to know more of what you think about the city, about the work that you're doing, but also sit in the same space with you. It's been amazing. And I think, do you have anything to say about Rod Talk Initiative in general? If you want to give folks.
Well, of course, I support you.
Yeah.
I do support you. And thank you so much for doing this. And thank you for inviting me as your guest.
Yeah.
People are watching you, right?
Yeah.
You people are watching you. And so I'm excited for you because I think that this is really going to take off. And I'm sure it's already going to take off beyond Harrisonburg. But whatever I can do to support you, I'm there for you. Let me know. You got it,
Appreciate
and congratulations.
Yeah.
Because this is definitely neat. This is exciting.
Yeah.
So thank you for what you're doing.
And thank you for your time. Thank you for being on Rod Talk. For the next couple of weeks, we'll be recording a lot of these videos. Vice Mayor Sal Romero is also on my schedule.
Good.
To have another conversation here.
Good.
And other city council members. And I'm trying to expand this conversation throughout the city. We'll get to young folks also sharing what they think about Harrisonburg and their lives here, and see what we can collectively learn about our city and what are the needs and how we can improve them. So for all of you watching us, thank you for tuning in on Rod Talk today. Remember to share, subscribe, like, or comment, and let us know who you want us to bring on the studio again and record and have this conversation. Until next time, we love you and stay blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.